All right, everyone, thank you for stopping by. So in this video, I'm going to be showing the build that I use for Khaimera when I'm playing in the jungle. So this video isn't a guide for how to play jungle. I will make a video about that later. Those videos just take a little bit longer to make. So bear with me. The video will come out. This is not it. This is just a build for Khaimera. Just wanted to make that clear. So just as a disclaimer, there is hundreds of different builds that you can use for each character. This is just the build that I use, and I'll explain like why I use the cards that I use and the crest that I use, and I'll go in all over all that in the video. But I just wanted to say that there is several different builds to use. This is just the build that I personally use. All right, let's jump into it. All right, so starting off, I select the warrior crest, and the reason for that is because a lot of people like to use the assassin crest, but I feel like early game the assassin crest is really good, but late game when you have team fights, the warrior crest is a lot better overall. And the reason for that is because of the card that I get with it. So each crest has the ability to be upgraded by doing certain challenges. With this one, it's by doing damage and getting kills. But eventually you'll be able to unlock a card and you get to choose between three. And all three are really good, but I think this one is the best one. It's called Ice Scorn Talons. And what it does is it creates a ring around you that increases your physical power by 15%, as well as your teammates. And it makes it so you and your teammates can move faster, and it slows down any enemies that you're chasing or fighting. It makes them run slower. So it's just really versatile. One of the things I really like about it is when you're chasing someone, you can slow down their movement speed by 40% and make yours 40% faster. So you were able to chase them down and catch them easier. It also makes your teammates run faster. It makes them all hit harder. So like I said, when you're in a big old team fight, it's really beneficial to have that because it gives everyone who uses physical power abilities anyways, it gives them a boost. And I just feel like that's so much better late game. And that's why I choose that one. So the first card that I get is called Sky Splitter. And the reason I like to get this card is because Khaimera really focuses on having a quick attack speed and a lot of life steal and healing. And he also hits really hard. So I like to get this card because it kind of just boosts all of those stats. It makes you hit faster and adds life steal. And I just like to get this card first just to get that initial boost so I can be stronger right from the get-go. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. This is one of my favorite cards to get. So the second item I recommend getting is Tainted Rounds. And the reason I get this is there's a few reasons actually, but one of the main reasons is because the attack speed and critical chance is kind of like a double feature thing. Those are two things that are kind of a bonus, but the really main thing that I like is the fact that this reduces the healing of your target that you're hitting. So I'm going to sound like a broken record when I say that you and your teammates should all have a tainted item. There are different versions of it, but this is one I recommend for when you're playing Khaimera. But the reason that having a tainted weapon is so important is the reduced healing is really massive. And that's the same case for any game where you play PvP. Like in Paladins, it used to be really overpowered to get it, but then they ended up making it so you can play with every character. But I'll shut up about Paladins right now. This is a Paladins video, but having that is just super important because everyone gets a life steal mostly. Anyways, most people will have a life steal or they'll have a base health regeneration, and this just counters that. So when you're fighting them, they're gonna have reduced healing. I've seen a lot of games where one team will all have these items like the reduced healing abilities and one team won't. And you really see it when you're fighting in the team fights, because if you've ever had those fights where you feel like no matter what, your team is unable to make their health go down, but you die like instantly, this is why. That entire team is having the health regeneration, they're having life steal, and it's being unimpeded, and your team doesn't have it, and your team will be having the reduced healing. And a lot of times that is the case. I'm sure there's other things where they're just fed or something like that, but a lot of times that is what's happening, is the other team has this and one team doesn't. But in my opinion, everyone on your team should have it, but at least the carry and the tanks, they should have it. But yeah, that's just one of my opinions. But Yeah, this is the second card I get, and like I said, it's really important to get it pretty quick, in my opinion. So the third card that I get is Situational. Having some sort of armor as Chimera is really important because a lot of times in team fights you're considered a tank where you should be able to take a lot of damage. But I don't like to put too much in that because I do kind of like to be more of a glass cannon when I'm playing him. But having some armor is important. So choosing which armor to pick depends on who you're fighting. If you're fighting a lot of people who use a lot of magical damage on you, you want to have the buckler because it has a lot of magical damage reduction. But if you're struggling to fight with people who do physical damage, you want that Draconum because it does the same thing but for physical damage. An additional reason that I like these two cards is because it adds the ability haste, and I feel like ability haste is really important with Chimera because it makes it so you have a jump ability where you can jump on someone, and a lot of times people will be running away, and it's nice to have that ready for when, because you'll pounce on them to begin with, start beating them, and they'll try to run away, and you can use it to jump on them. If they try to use a dash or their escape, you'll be able to use that pounce on them again. One of the things I really like about Draconum is that when you get a kill, it restores 5% of your health, and I feel like that could be really big in a team fight as well. So if you get like a kill, you'll have your health regenerate quite a bit, and then you can keep on fighting and take on more team fights. On the other side, though, one of the things I really like about the buckler is when it's fully charged, you're able to block up to 50% of magical damage that is coming towards you. It's not all the time, but when that does kick in and you're getting attacked by someone that does a lot of magical damage, it can really turn the tides of the battle, and I really like it for that reason. So the fourth item that I like to get is called Basilisk, and hopefully I said that word right. I don't think I've ever been able to say that word correctly, but I was practicing, so hopefully that's good. So there's two things I really like about this item. Is the first one is the ability haste, and as I explained before, ability haste can be really big when you're the jungler, especially when you're trying to pounce on someone and they get away. You can get that pounce ready again, and the ability where you use it where you can hit really fast for a few seconds. But the other thing I really like about this card is it has the ability when you hit someone, you reduce their physical armor by 4% for 3 seconds, and that can be really big if you're fighting someone that's really tanky and has a lot of physical armor. What it does is it reduces that armor by that 4%, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're end game, 4% can be a huge amount. You're talking like 20, 30, 40 physical damage reduction. And just for the icing on the cake, that bottom one, the Eminence ability for that, doing 3.5% target missing health as damage, that's just really good as well if you're in the right situations. Overall, this card has a lot of good aspects about it, so I like to grab this card with most of my melee physical damaged characters. So the last card that I like to get is called Imperator. And there's two things I like about this card. For one, it increases your chance of getting a critical strike. And two, it makes your critical strikes do 25% more damage. I think this can be huge when you're playing Chimera because he has a lot of attack speed, and one of his abilities as well increases your attack speed like really insane. So you go really fast, and you start smacking like crazy. I'm sure you've seen it if you ever faced a Chimera. But because he's landing a lot of hits in fights, it's really big to have not only critical damage, but to also have those hits hit even harder. I guess the third thing I like about this card is it adds a bunch of physical power. It adds 50 physical power, which is probably one of the higher cards that adds that. So you're overall doing more damage as well. This card is one of the better cards that you can get as a melee physical power damage character. So I recommend this for any character that you play that does physical damage. Like if you were to play Crunch or anyone like that. In my Grux build, I suggested the same card for the same reasons. But overall, this card is one of the top tier cards. It's definitely S tier, so I recommend this card. All right, so that is the build that I use for Chimera. Like I said, there is several different builds that you can use for this character. This is just the one that I recommend and use. And when I'm playing the game, like you need to use situational awareness for which cards you get as well. And I can change up the order of the cards I suggested depending on the situation I'm in. If the other jungler is someone that's highly armored, I might get the Basilisk earlier. Or if I'm fighting people who don't use any armor at all, I might switch that for something that adds more physical power and attack speed. It really just depends on the situation that you're in. But this is a really good general overall build if you're just trying to play Chimera for the first time. Anyways, thank you guys for watching if you made it this far, and be sure to like the video and subscribe, and make sure you add a comment to any characters that you want to see a build that I use for them. I have a few characters that I'm going to be making a build for them coming soon, but if there's any that you want to see sooner, if anyone comments that they want to see a certain character, I will move that character up on the list to get it out sooner. So be sure to comment if you want to see any builds. And I will also be making some more tutorial videos on how to play the different lanes and jungler as well. So again, be sure to hit that subscribe button and to turn the notifications on so you don't miss those videos when they come out. I'll thank you guys again. We'll see you next time. Bye.